Before going to college, I made a name for myself rebuilding restaurants. I've worked in almost every style of concept and from every position in every restaurant, from busser to general manager, dishwasher to executive chef, and bar back to bar manager. This broad skill set allows me to fit in and understand how restaurants work from a fundamental level. There is a dominating theme when you watch esteemed chefs, such as Gordan Ramsey on television. Their word is law. Everything they do or say is so clearly obvious the correct answer and exists without compromise. Failure to follow even one suggestion is punishable by dismissal from the star of the show. This couldn't be further from the truth. Every restaurant has its own unique theme that makes it successful. From a fast food chain to a coffee and wine bistro to a late night bar. It is possible to stumble upon a glaringly obvious problem, such as a massive cleanliness issue or a problem with inventory management, but it is far more likely it will take a month or two of solid analysis to clearly understand the root of a problem. It is also fundamentally flawed to assume that someone can enter a failing restaurant and never work for a single minute inside that concept. A restaurant, just like any business, is a complex animal. It requires compassion, understanding, and a work ethic that demands you spend untold hours working before the doors open and well after the last person leaves. It becomes much easier to just explain my process than to annotate each individual flaw in the TV formula. I can start by explaining the process of analysis that builds in my plan of attack. They cover 5 very basic areas and are listed here in order of importance: culture, staff, cleanliness, cost, and customer relations. Culture's textbook definition is the characteristics and knowledge of a particular group of people encompassing language, religion, cuisine, social habits, music, and arts. A restaurant with a work-positive and staff-centered culture will, by itself, almost exclusively guarantee you a profit. It's what excites people to show up for work. Every single existing restaurant that is failing has a caustic culture. It starts with the leaders in the building and quickly seeps into every crack and crevice. If your staff isn't happy to be in the building, safety protocols aren't followed, systems fall apart, and toxicity corrupts the workflow. In short, if the people who work for you hate their jobs, you will hate your profits. It will always be important that you show resilience that supersedes any frustration you may have. Chances are, the people around you have been frustrated at this location for a long time. They care not for what you are going through because they've been going through it for longer, probably had it harder, and just want to end the workday with a smile. The lucky part about culture is that if you are a dedicated leader and follow through on each of your promises, you can physically feel a shift in your staff's willingness to succeed. Do the right thing. Work hard. Show that you are willing to wash the dishes after a busy rush. When you follow that formula, your job becomes exponentially easier. After putting the foundations for a positive culture in place, you begin to focus on your staff. Who works the hardest? Who are the aces on your team you can always rely on? Is your staff trained properly? And lastly, which members of your staff are undermining your efforts and are clogging the cogs in the machine? Every time I watch Restaurant Rescue Story on TV, they constantly show a well-trained staff and 1 or 2 incompetent leaders. The truth is that sometimes you have to systematically fire and hire those that don't want to get with the program. It can be mentally draining. But there have been restaurants where 1 in every 5 original staff members are left after 6 months. Cost analysis is the first hard skill you'll have to perfect. It also can't be properly done until both the culture and the staff have been addressed and properly worked on. It will also be the first metric, unfortunately, that you are often graded on. That means that whoever hired you to help will likely not see the results they want within the first couple of months. Cost analysis is probably the one thing most misinterpreted on the TV. I'm sure you have seen Gordan Ramsey waltz into the back of a restaurant before and go, "It is clear why you are failing. You have 30 customers a day, and you have enough pasta to feed 200 people." He claps his hands, the mystery is solved, and magically the management team has its costs fixed. Wrong. You may have a gratuitous amount of pasta, but it's far more likely that the portion sizes are too big, food is being wasted, your hourly employees are not being very effective with their time, you have too many staff members, or you have a thief. The thief isn't always stealing money. The thief is sometimes stealing product and just giving it away. You will not have to redesign the restaurant. Most restaurants you will help rebuild have been operating for a decent stretch of time. What they need to know is not new, groundbreaking, or a drastic alteration to the menu. but a reminder on what made them money in the first place. Raising Cane's is one of the most successful food chains in the market, and they sell 4 items and only offer 2 sauces. Customer relations can also be fixed after every other problem in the entire building has been addressed and fixed. People want what they pay for, and they want a pleasant experience. Failing to correct any of the other problems will only lead to even worse customer satisfaction. A strategy I have in my tool set is waiting months after I joined the company to announce that the restaurant is under new management. Once the machinery is running smoothly, I make that announcement. Past customers will show up to try out the place they remember. If they have even one hiccup, however, they will never, ever, ever return. Each concept in the end has its own blueprint for success. The staff and management team will need to rebuild leadership styles. You will never be able to address a college kid trying to make ends meet as a part-time barista the same way you would a 10-year bar veteran. There are different people who have different needs, and they require different things from their leaders. At the end of the day, the most important difference between how a real restaurant rescue goes and the absolute rule of TV Gordan Ramsey is failure. You will fail. You will fail at some point. I failed so many times in my restaurant career. You have to fall in love with failure. It is in falling in love with failure that you will learn how to succeed. Gordan Ramsey has opened up over 50 restaurants. What you won't hear and what they won't show on TV is that 23 shut down. Part of this image is that Gordan Ramsey is always correct. But even Ramsey fails, and he fails often.